Chapter 11 of the Lemonade War is called A Total Loss. Oh dear. Total loss is a noun. It means goods so damaged that there's absolutely no point in repairing them, or they can't be repaired at all. The first cup was an easy sell, the second cup too. It was on the third cup that the little girl, about 6 years old, said, "Ew, there's a bug in my drink." Then her brother said, "There's one in mine too." "Gross," said an older boy on a skateboard. "There are like 3 in mine. I want my money back, man," he said, dumping the lemonade onto the ground. The mother of the little girl and the little boy looked into their cups carefully. "I think you need to check your lemonade, honey," she said to Evan. Evan unscrewed the cap and everyone looked in. The surface of the lemonade, which means the top of the lemonade, was swimming with dead bugs, fruit flies, couple worms, and a soggy brown caterpillar. "Oh my goodness," said a mother. The boy started spitting on the ground like he was going to die, and the girl started wailing, "Mommy, I drank bugs! Mommy, I have bugs in my tummy!" Evan couldn't believe his eyes. How did this happen? Did they crawl in somehow? They couldn't have. He screwed that lid on so tightly. He was sure of it. And anyway, 1 or 2 bugs crawling in, maybe, but 50? 50 dead fruit flies and 2 inchworms and a caterpillar? It just wasn't possible. Evan was burning with embarrassment as everyone looked at him and his buggy lemonade. Frantically, he reached into the cooler and started to scoop out all the dead bugs with his hands. Oh, sweetheart," said the mother, "you can't sell that lemonade." "I'll get them all out," said Evan. "I'll get every last one." "No, dear, you really can't. You need to dump that out," she said. Evan looked at her like she was crazy. Dump it out? Dump it out? He'd spent $40 of his hard-earned money on that lemonade and another dollar for the cups. He wasn't going to dump this out. "I'll do it at home," he said. "No, you should do it right here, I think. I need to be sure that it's disposed of properly." Evan looked at her. He just didn't know her, but he knew her type. Boy, did he know her type. She was the kind of mother who thought she was mother of the whole wide world. If you were on a playground and she thought you were playing too rough, she'd tell you. If you were chewing gum in the line at the 7-Eleven, she'd say, "I sure hope that's sugarless." Mothers never like that. Mothers like that never mind their own business, or just their kids' business. They thought they had to take care of all the kids in the kingdom. "It's too heavy for me to dump," he said. "I'll just take it home. My mom can help me." "I'll help," said the busy mother of the world. "All we need to do is tip it a little bit." She grabbed one handle of the big cooler. Evan had no choice but to grab the other handle, and together they tipped and the lemonade poured out of the top of the cooler. They poured and they poured and they poured some more. The lemonade sparkled in the sunlight like a bejeweled waterfall and then disappeared without a trace, soaking into the parched September grass. As the last slush of lemonade slipped out of the cooler, a slick of mud poured out. "Oh my goodness," said the mother. Evan couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe how quickly his victory had turned into defeat. It was just like the lemonade. It had disappeared into the grass, leaving nothing behind. A total loss. The mother smiled sympathetically as Evan returned her $2. The skateboard dude had already skated off with his refund. There was nothing more to do now than to go home. Evan walked slowly, dragging the wagon behind him with the empty cooler rattling inside. With every step he took, the wagon handle poked him in the back. Step poke, step poke, step poke. He felt like someone was nudging him forward. "Evan, Mom wants to see you in her office right away." That had been a little weird. His mom had no idea what he meant. "I didn't call you. I didn't call anyone," she said. "I've been on the computer." "Evan, Mom wants to see you," he thought, those words ringing in his head. He'd been coming up the stairs just as Jessie had been in the garage, and she looked kind of anxious. Right away, she said. Evan stopped walking. He stared at the empty cooler. Then he started to run. The wagon bounced crazily on the uneven sidewalk. Twice it tipped over. What did it matter, thought Evan angrily. It has no lemonade to spill. By the time he got home, he had it all figured out. He looked in the kitchen trash and found 3 Ziploc bags turned inside out with sticky lemonade on them. He shook the fruit bowl and noticed how the fruit flies took to the air. If he had had the right materials, he would have dusted that cooler for fingerprints, but there was really no need for that. He knew what he would have found out. Jessie was over all of this one. That rat! That lousy, rotten, stinking rat of a sister, he shouted, and he went back to the garage and kicked the wagon. He knocked the cooler to the floor. He tore up his own Lemonade on Wheels sign into a dozen pieces. He was going to lose. She had $100. He was sure of it. And he now just had $62 left. Tonight, before the fireworks, when they counted their money, she would be the winner, and he would be the loser. Winner takes all. Loser gets nothing. Oh, this was so unfair. Evan stomped upstairs to his room, and he slammed the door so hard it bounced open again. When he went to close it, he was staring across the hallway straight into Jessie's room. He could see her neatly made bed with the fluffy pillows, the poster of their Bar Harbor trip to Maine this summer, and her table with a Charlotte's Web book right at the ready. Jessie crossed the hall, then paused at Jessie's door. There was a rule about not entering. Well, she'd broken the rules first, he thought, even though there really wasn't a rule about putting fruit flies in someone else's lemonade. It was a dirty trick. Evan walked in and went straight to Jessie's desk drawer. There was a fake pack of gum, and inside, the key. Did she really think he didn't know where she hid it? He'd seen her slip that key into the box when he was passing by on the way to the restroom. Jessie was smart, but she wasn't very smooth. He'd known for months where the key was hidden. He hadn't bothered to use it until now. It took him a while to find the lockbox. He checked the bureau drawers first, and then under her bed, and finally he found it hidden in her closet. Again, not very smooth. Evan carried the key and the lockbox back to his room and sat on the bed. He put the key in the lock and opened the top. Then, the moment of truth. He lifted out the plastic change drawer. There were a whole bunch of scrap papers on top, and there was a folded index card too. Evan moved those aside and found a $10 bill, paper clipped to a birthday card. Under that was an envelope to write labeled pre-warn earnings with $4.42 inside. That was the money that Jessie had before the Lemonade War began, and she kept it separate, just like she promised. Next to it was a big fat envelope labeled Lemonade Earnings. Evan opened that envelope. Inside, the bills were arranged by 1s, 5s, and 10s. All the bills were facing the same way so that the eyes of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Alexander Hamilton were all looking at Evan as he counted out them each. $208. What? There it was, the winning wad. Evan thought of how hard he'd worked that week in the blazing hot sun, the scorching heat. He thought of the cooler of lemonade pouring into the grass. He thought of the handing over the $62.11 to Jessie, and how she'd smile and laugh to tell everyone that she had won the Lemonade War. The guys would all shake their heads. What a loser. Megan Moriarty would turn away. She wouldn't want to be my friend. Evan slammed the lid of that lockbox shut, and he stuffed the envelope into his shorts pocket. He was not going to let this happen. He wasn't planning on keeping the money, not for good, but he wasn't going to let her have it tonight. When it came time to show the earnings, he'd have $62.11, and she'd have nothing. he'd give her the money back tomorrow, or maybe the day after that, or the day after that, but he was not going to do it tonight. He suddenly felt a desperate need to get out of the house as fast as he could, and he shoved the lockbox back into Jessie's closet and the key back into the fake pack of gum. "Hey, Mom," he shouted, not even waiting for her to answer back. "I'm going to the school to see if there's a game, okay?"